Good morning. It is Thursday, August 26th. This is Wake Up with Ray G, presented by Bets TV. Good morning, good people out there. Comments. Get the comments going. We're gonna got a lot of game previews to get through this week. This is the final week of preseason. Friday games, Saturday games, and Sunday games. Then we get a week off, and then the NFL regular season is right around the corner. College football kicks off this week. I'm not sure if it's today, tomorrow, Saturday, but I know we got some college football action. So football is back, baby. We are in full swing. High school football has popped off, so it's an exciting time. Jordan, how are you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm great, man. You know, both of us had some late nights. I was doing a lot of deep research for the show, making sure everyone is properly informed. But I'm happy to be here. And, you know, from our conversation yesterday, I realized that I'm much happier to deal with you in the morning. And I don't know if it's just you get a decent sleep and so you feel better. But now that I've dealt with you in the morning, dealt with you in the evening, I think I much prefer you in the morning. And I'm glad to see you're in a good mood to start the day. And I'm happy to be here, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, man. And just got some clarity from my boy Matt Bruning, Campus to Canton director, one of the founders of that dope website. It's week 0. All 5 college football games are on Saturday, so appreciate you, Bruning, for that. But we got a lot to get into today, so let's go ahead and start off with the morning run.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
So some quick hitting news. Let's just run down everything that kind of happened yesterday that was significant that we haven't really touched on. Teddy Bridgewater announced week 1 starter for Denver. What does this mean for everybody involved? Teddy takes care of the ball, short and intermediate passes. I think the instant reaction from majority of analysts, social media was stock up for Jerry Jeudy, stock down for Cortland Sutton and KJ Hamler. I think he doesn't have the upside, I guess, of the big arm Drew Lock, but maybe he's better for that offense. And, the head coach said there's no leash. They made this decision because they felt it gave their team the best chance to win. I think Jerry Jeudy is a monster. I've called him Stephon Diggs 2.0 for a couple of months now. Super talented out of Alabama, and I think this season he's actually going to elevate his game to a whole new level. People look at his 800-plus receiving yards as a rookie and scoff at that because of what Justin Jefferson did, but that's a really impressive season for a rookie wide receiver with 18 different quarterbacks throwing him the football. So the thing that I'm looking for is just consistency out of the passing attack. We know it's not going to look like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, but if they can get consistent, decent quarterback play, I think this is very good for Jerry Jeudy and also good for those running backs. Any thoughts on Bridgewater, Jordan, being named the starter for Denver? And do you think he has a short leash? Who's this good for? Where are you at with Denver?
Yeah, I definitely don't believe the short leash comment. Because if he syncs it up, they're going to have to make an adjustment, right? So I think as far as that goes, I'm expecting Drew Lock to potentially get in the game at some point this season. But like you said, for these receivers, Drew Lock is the god of air yards. He'll chuck it deep all day long. It doesn't matter how successful he is. He'll just keep throwing it deep if that's what they want him to do. Teddy Bridgewater, more methodical. He's going to run the offense a little bit more slowly. He's going to bring them along, but he's going to stay ahead of the chains. That's what he's going to do, take care of the ball, all these things. And that's why he gives them a better chance to win if they believe that defense is good enough to keep them in games. But if the defense isn't that great, they're going to have to probably turn to Drew Lock because Teddy's probably not going to be able to put up the points. You kind of have to run that roller coaster ride with Drew Lock to get the higher upside like you were talking about.
Okay, and then we also saw Joe Burrow is expected to play limited snaps in week 3. For a while, they were saying Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, was not going to play at all during the preseason, had the devastating ACL, MCL knee injury. A lot of people speculated that he wasn't going to be ready to start the season, but Burrow was back, Burrow is practicing, and Burrow is going to play. So this will be the first time that we actually see these pass catchers, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, with Joe Burrow on the field for a drive or two. And I think this is a good move by Zach Taylor just to get him in the game, live action with, because there's something different about being at practice and knowing that you can't get touched and knowing that you've got all day to sort of throw the ball. You've got your red jersey on, you're untouchable, you can't touch a quarterback. But in live game action, hey, if you're out there, they're coming to get you. So I think this is good for a good mental step for Joe Burrow. Do I really care like what his final numbers look like if he plays a drive or two? Not at all. Like I don't care. I don't have a ton of long-term concern about Joe Burrow. I just think it's good for him to get on the field for his confidence, for his psyche, and to try to build a little bit of chemistry with those wide receivers. So your thoughts on Joe Burrow coming back to play in this final preseason game?
I think you nailed it, man. We just want to see him look comfortable because that's ultimately what we're so worried about with Joe Burrow is there's reports coming out that he's not comfortable. He's, a little bit scurryish. He's not sure if he's going to be able to get past that mental side. It's just a great step for him to get on the field with his team. The numbers don't matter. Where the ball's thrown doesn't really matter. We just want to see him look as comfortable as possible in that pocket on an actual NFL field, not just in practice, like you said, when he can't be touched.
Yeah, man. And this is funny. Whip Whitaker said Locke has that Jeff George aura. Crazy arm mixed with the why did he do that plays. And that's probably why, probably factored into the reason, the head coach, Vic Fangio, whatever his damn name is, Fangio, couldn't roll with that. Not to start the season, right? As far as Joe Burrow, it's just good to see him on the field. Now you've got some news on here, some MLB news. For all of y'all, let me just jump on here. For all of y'all, the next 5 minutes of news is all Jay Rich. This is all Jay Rich's show.
So I'm only getting 5 minutes. That's confirmed.
I'm going to let the people decide how long they want to hear this for. So we're going to see. This is a case study of what the consumer, what the audience wants to hear, because we battled back and forth about some of these topics yesterday. And you know what? You've earned the right to talk about some things that you want to talk about. You've earned that right. You've done a good job on the show. But y'all tell me how much of this y'all actually want to hear. So Baltimore Orioles broke their 19-game losing streak, which is crazy, but they beat Shohei Ohtani. So the Orioles broke their 19-game losing streak. Anything else you want to add to that? Because I have nothing. Good for them.
No, I want to just congratulate the Orioles. They were on their pace to break the all-time record of 21 games. And so, good job, Orioles. You guys got a W. You're going to lose 100 games again this year, but you broke that streak. You have, one good player who is deservedly an all-star. I'm happy for you.
Now, the chat is already saying 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Okay. I'm going to go to the restroom while he does this segment. He's going to talk about soccer. He's going to talk about soccer for a minute. So I am going to come off the camera. It's all you. Let me know when you're finished. Go ahead and talk football. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, don't be disrespectful. Okay,
I'm not being disrespectful.
I know you Americans talk about football, soccer. Okay, yeah, I get it. But
get into it. Come on.
I know that you don't care, but Kylian Mbappe requested a transfer from Paris Saint-Germain. This is a big deal. He was the second most expensive player acquired via transfer ever, behind Neymar, who was also acquired to PSG. So this is kind of a big deal. There was reports that Real Madrid was trying to acquire Kylian Mbappe, and when he found out, he wanted to leave PSG. He told PSG that he didn't want to play for them anymore. Now, this is actually a quote directly from the sporting director. Now, I don't know exactly where that falls in line with the actual hierarchy of PSG, because it's not like traditional American sports where we have GMs and presidents and all that stuff. But the sporting director is a big deal. He's an important person. He's the one who said that Kylian Mbappe wanted out, but they weren't going to accept that 160 million, I believe it's 160 million euro transfer fee. They wanted more money for him. And this is kind of a big deal because they brought in Lionel Messi. So they have Messi, they have Neymar, they have Mbappe. Everyone's talking about how this is some super team. And, not even a month later, Mbappe is saying that he wants out. which is, it's kind of crazy to think that you have this team that's going to be exceptional. He's a 22-year-old player, won the World Cup at 19 years old with France. Sky's the limit for Kylian Mbappe. He's one of the best players in the world, but now he wants to leave and go to Madrid, or I guess another team. Now, Ray, does that all kind of make sense? Are you happy with that explanation for Kylian Mbappe? This guy's sleeping on me. Okay, so moving along, because Ray is clearly disinterested, that's fine. Now, the other report was that Harry Kane wanted to potentially, or Manchester City was trying to acquire Harry Kane from Tottenham. He put out a statement yesterday saying he didn't want to leave Bruning. No, I don't think he ends up with Madrid, but we'll see. But yeah, so Harry Kane put out a statement yesterday saying that he wasn't going to leave Tottenham at all. And so it left Manchester City kind of in flux as to what they were going to do. But there was another report saying they were potentially going to go after Ronaldo. Ronaldo's on his last year of his contract with Juventus. And so that's kind of a big deal right now. And so if somehow Ronaldo was to transfer to Manchester City, it'd be the first time he was back in the Premier League since his initial transfer to Real Madrid in 2009. We all know Ronaldo. I believe he's 35 years old, one of the best players ever of all time. So for Manchester City is able to get him from Juventus, there's already reports saying that Juventus is sick of him. But again, last year on his contract, so they do have to do something with him, or they will probably lose him for nothing. I would suggest they get rid of him, send him to Manchester City or another team. And there's your soccer content for the day. It's a big deal, man. Transfer window is a big deal. It ends on the 31st, so this all has to happen in the next 5 days, or it's just, we're going to see what happens. But yes, Bruning, I think that Ronaldo will be back in the EPL. It will be cool to see him go back to EPL, but I do think, to Eric's point, it is a little bit too rough for Ronaldo now in his older age, but it would be very interesting. Ray, you ready? You back?
I'm impressed. I'm impressed that the people have spoken. You have tremendous support here on this channel from the subscribers, from the listeners. I saw very, very little besides Kevin Bacon. I mean, me and Kevin Bacon were the only ones trying to push fast forward, but the people have spoken. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
You were right.
These are the superstars. I wouldn't come with the lower tier. These are the biggest, the best of the best. But I am interested to see kind of what happens with Mbappe if he can break his previous transfer record. I don't think he breaks all the way up to Neymar's $220 million mark, but he could hit somewhere in like the 180 range if Madrid wants to pay that price.
Listen, we do what the people want, and listen, they like the content, man. Eric is watching on YouTube. Said he was a huge football fan. Bruning clearly into it. Alex, Chris, this is dope. Hey, good job, man. Good job. But is there anything else you want to touch on from that? Honestly, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. You said this is a big deal. We don't see this happen often. I don't know all the ins and outs of how that works. Of course, I know the big name guys, right? Like any.
Would you like me to quickly explain it to you?
Not really. We got to get into NFL previews for tomorrow. We can explain it offline. So let's go ahead and dive into the games that we have this weekend. And we kind of talked about this earlier in the show. Like, this is the final week of preseason. So whatever players are going to do to make an impression on their coaches, to get on the field, this is their shot, right? So first game, just want to breeze through real quick, is taking a look at Indianapolis and Detroit. So my take on the Colts, it looks like Carson Wentz is going to play week 1. I mean, he's practicing. It looks like he's moving well. I haven't seen or heard anything negative about his foot injury and how that's healing. I'm not sure on Quinton Nelson. I don't know if Quinton Nelson is out there practicing. Jay, if you could look that up real quick. Not sure, but that would be a huge boost to Carson Wentz, a huge boost for Jonathan Taylor. And I was listening yesterday. I think I was listening to The Herd on SiriusXM. And he picked the Colts to win the division. I know we did the AFC South preview a couple of days ago, and we both had picked the Titans to win that division. But he, for what it's worth, he's very, very bullish on Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts team overall. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform in their last preseason game. I know it's going to be Eason and Ellinger, and just like I've been saying since Sam Ellinger was at Texas, you don't want him starting. And Jacob Eason, while a little bit of promise there, you probably don't want to roll him out there week 1 either. On the Detroit side of the ball, a good friend of mine, Scott Connor, Dynasty and Chill, was talking about Penei Sewell kind of struggling right now. So I want to see how he progresses. And what I told Scott is you see that typically when offensive linemen from college matriculate to the NFL and they switch sides, right? So when you've got a left tackle that has played left tackle all their life, they played left tackle in college, they're usually lined up against the team's best pass rusher. So they're facing a lot of speed rushes, and it's not a lot of bull and power. When you move a left tackle to the right side of the offensive line as a rookie, it's a completely different, everything is different. How you kick slide, how you set, the type of defensive ends you face. And we saw Tyron Smith struggle a little bit on the right side his rookie season before moving over to the left. We saw La'el Collins, who was a left tackle at LSU, slide over to the right, and he struggled early. So I'm not concerned or shocked that Penei Sewell, who's been a left tackle his entire career, struggling a little bit on the right side. I don't have any long-term concerns, but I do want to see him play well. I want to see a little more Amon-Ra St. Brown. And also Jamal Williams. You know, there's reports out there that DeAndre Swift, they're not sure where he's going to be week one. So, you know, if Jamal Williams plays, it's probably because he didn't look very good last week. And, I mean, he's just a guy, in my opinion. He's a capable, average NFL running back. But not a whole lot to see here for me. Week one, anything else? I mean, for this game, anything you want to touch on from the Colts and the Lions?
So I'm pretty annoyed because I was looking for this Quinton Nelson injury update, and they said he's going to practice Monday, but there is zero reports saying of him actually being there. So it's like there was a report out on Friday saying that he was going to be there on Monday, but there was just nothing of people actually confirming that, saying he was back, how he looked, whatever. So I don't know if it's just maybe he didn't practice or just it went underreported. But quick Google search couldn't really find anything. But I'm sure that if they said he was back on Monday, he's probably been there at some point throughout the week. But maybe he's only going through walkthroughs and not getting a full practice in like we'd expect.
All right, so we also have Pittsburgh and Carolina. Dwayne Haskins was announced the starter for Pittsburgh, so we'll see Haskins under center. Thank goodness, anybody but Mason Rudolph. He's not expected to play. Mason Rudolph is not expected to play. Sounds like everyone is resting for Pittsburgh, and probably rightfully so. This will be Pittsburgh's fourth game, and we saw the starters even in the Hall of Fame game. Najee, Claypool, Deontay, they played like the entire first quarter from the jump. They played a lot in the second game, third game. I think they're pretty good, and I think Ben Roethlisberger, we kind of talked about him from a fantasy perspective yesterday because we were doing some drafts with FTN and some other, industry drafts. And we were talking about what quarterback to take in redraft, Superflex, right? And Ben Roethlisberger's staring there. And I'm like, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Goff. Ben Roethlisberger, Teddy Bridgewater. Ben Roethlisberger, Mac Jones. Whatever. And like for redraft, I mean, Ben didn't play last year. He's got a ton of weapons around him. Pencil Najee in for 3 or 4 receiving touchdowns. Deontay Johnson, Juju, Chase Claypool, tight ends, and Pat Freiermuth. I know the offensive line kind of stinks, but hey, Ben looked good in that last game. So again, probably nothing to see there. No word on DJ Moore, but no CMC. Sam Darnold is going to play, which means we get to see probably a little more Sam Darnold, Terrace Marshall. Chuba Hubbard going to get an extended run again as the primary ball carrier for Carolina. Anything that you want to talk about with Pittsburgh, Carolina, anything that you want to see, any players that you might just want to see pop one more time before the actual NFL preparation begins?
I'm actually really intrigued to watch Sam Darnold again. I watched his start last week. He didn't play a whole lot of action, and we know that DJ Moore wasn't out there. I am hoping we can see some DJ Moore. I was looking for some information as to whether or not he would play. I did see that CMC was definitely not going to be playing, but I'm hoping we can get some DJ Moore. And so Darnold was kind of just talking about how, he doesn't necessarily have to play, but it's good for him to get out there, watch all the formations, go through his checks, get ready for that game action against the Jets. So for him, it's just about getting additional reps, not so much about the results. So I wouldn't focus on the results with Darnold. See what he does at the line. Make sure he gets all his receivers in line, understands the playbook, all the little things, just going through that in a game setting rather than only doing it in joint practices or in practice. It sounds like just additional reps for Darnold, along with Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall, like you mentioned. It's a great opportunity for Chuba Hubbard because they'll probably be running that first-team offense a decent amount. I'd expect at least a quarter and a half. So I think that would be good for him because I think we all expect to see him a little bit during the season to spell Christian McCaffrey. So I am a little excited to see that. I think Terrace Marshall will be great. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, we'll kind of see if he ends up playing. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it will be interesting to see how that offense works and see a little bit more action from the starters this week.
Yeah, and Eric said he wants to see the tight end, and I'm with him. That's Pat Fryermuth, the big boy tight end out of Penn State, somebody that I've been talking about for a couple of years now. I think it's a matter of time before he takes over that starter's role over Eric Ebron. He's a pass-catching weapon, catches everything in the end zone. Really, really strong player. So another weapon for Big Ben. I just think this offense has a chance, and I know the offensive line issues now. We'll see how they gel in the season, but I think the offense has a chance to be really good, and I think Ben in redraft could be a sneaky late second quarterback to add if you get a starter early and you double back with Ben later after you filled up your skill positions. I think he could impress a little bit this year and at least be a very, very serviceable high-end quarterback too. So let's talk about the next game, and we've got the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Jets. Now this one is, of all the Friday games, I think I'm more intrigued by this one, and it's because we need to see Jalen Hurts. We need to see Jalen Hurts with these pass catchers. They've been practicing this week, and by all accounts, it's been a rough week for the New York Jets. So Jalen Hurts didn't play last week. We don't know what happened, but he looks just fine running around at practice, throwing deep to Quez Watkins. So Jalen Hurts is likely to play. Nothing to say he's not as of yet. Devonta Smith has been absolutely terrorizing defensive backs in practice. I'm going to say this again, and let's just talk seasonal leagues, and we can talk dynasty leagues. I don't care, just fantasy football in general. The overwhelming consensus is that Ja'Marr Chase was a generational wide receiver prospect. And it was Ja'Marr Chase and a clear gap between everybody else. And then it was a splattering of Bateman, Smith, Elijah, Rondell, Terrace. If y'all still think that at this point, and it has nothing to do with Ja'Marr Chase, but everything to do with what we're hearing about these other wide receivers, you're living in La La Land. You are truly a prisoner of pre-draft take. Because everything that we've seen from multiple wide receivers from this 2021 rookie class has been nothing but stellar. And I do think that Devonta Smith and Elijah Moore and Terrace Marshall and Rashad Bateman, order them how you will. Because I don't think there's a clear-cut one. Devonta Smith, I think he's the best. I think he's going to be the best. I think he's already showing press coverage means absolutely nothing to him, because he's so good off the line of scrimmage, so explosive. We're seeing that from Elijah, and that's what I want to see out of this game. Elijah Moore is practicing. He returned to practice, maybe limited game action versus Philadelphia, but I want to see that Zach Wilson-Elijah Moore connection. I want to see the Devonta Smith-Jalen Hurts connection. Quez Watkins, all reports, is he's going to be the starting slot wide receiver, and that makes a ton of sense. You line him up against a nickel corner or a safety with his speed, it's a mismatch problem. If this happens, that means Jalen Reagor kicks out to the Z, the flanker role. I don't know. I mean, he's been really good, in practice. Well, let me say this. He's had his really good moments and he's had really down moments on the outside winning against cornerbacks. If he's improved on his technique and he can defeat, the difference between Smith and Reagor, Smith has no issue getting off of the line during press coverage where Reagor does. He's just a bigger player. He looks more physical. We'll see how that plays out. But for me, if we're talking what pieces I want off of this Philadelphia offense from the pass catchers, right now for me at cost, it would be Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. If I get Reagor late, fine, but I don't have a ton of confidence in that right now. I don't have a ton of confidence in the passing volume for him to get enough to be a consistent producer. So even his over-under yardage total, I think it's 100 yards less than Devonta Smith. I don't think I'd touch it. But I really want to see Smith. I want to see Elijah Moore, and I want to see Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson looked lights out. Quarterback one from week 2 of the preseason. I thought he was the best-looking rookie quarterback. The arm strength, the composure, 2 touchdown passes, delivering the ball down the field, the connection with Corey Davis. I think the offense can be really good. And if the Jets defense is as bad as we think it's going to be, they're going to have to throw the ball and score a ton of points to remain competitive, which bodes well for Zach Wilson props, which bodes well for Corey Davis props, Elijah Moore props, and then for fantasy football points. So tell me about this game, Jay, because this is the one that I think is probably the most meaningful on Friday. This is the one I'll be tapped into for sure.
Yeah, I want to know kind of what the deal is with us in these Philadelphia games. It seems every week we're like, oh, let's tune into Philadelphia. What are we going to see this week? But what to your point about Jalen Hurts and why I'm really excited, and I'm excited to see him obviously, but I think the problem with last week is that if he did play, maybe he wouldn't have played this week. So I'm not trying to say it's a good thing that he had the little stomach issue, but I think it may see us more reps with him and Devonta Smith. We may see a whole half of them playing together. So I'm actually really excited for that part. I am praying, like you know more than anyone, and people who know me, I am praying that we see 1-2 plays of Elijah. Like I just want to see him just a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter. It was all over the place because he went out and he smoked a DB on a post corner, caught the ball on the sideline. Zach Wilson put it where it needed to be, and he talked about it like it was just whatever to him. You know, I went in, I had to sell with my hips, my eyes, my hands, everything. And when he looked, I cut outside. Wilson threw a great ball. I kept my feet in the end zone, or I kept my feet in the line, and we got the first down. It's just like this to him. Is like this dude is just a worker. He comes in, he works hard. He is an exceptional talent. I just want to see it on the field. And for everyone who is watching, everyone who is listening to me right now, if you do not get Elijah Moore on your fantasy rosters very soon, he will be unattainable. And I firmly believe that because from the very beginning, every report was all about Elijah Moore out of Jets camp. All about Elijah Moore. How hard he worked, how great he looked. So when he actually does something on the field, it's going to be ridiculous. The level of exposure, the amount people talk about him, the praise, it will just be undeniable. Now,
You talking seasonal? You talking seasonal or dynasty here?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The moment Elijah Moore does anything on the field, if it's this week, we don't know. If it's this week, it will explode. He could just catch a slant route for 10 yards. People will be like, yup, wide receiver one for Zach Wilson, 110 targets. You know, our boy Elliot Chris is going to be going nuts. Jets fan, right? So it's just for me, you need to get him. If you don't have him, you need to get him. But I didn't know if you mentioned Elijah Vera Tucker did return to practice as well. He was on limited snaps. That's great for Zach Wilson's offensive line. But yeah, it's all about Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts connection. And if I can please see some Elijah Moore, please. Yeah, I'll be so happy. All
right, so that's going to be the game that I'm really tapped into. Two of the worst probably teams in the NFL, but I want to see Philadelphia and I want to see the Jets. So interesting, the Minnesota Vikings and Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid said the Chiefs starters are expected to play the first half. So this is where this new preseason sort of shows its head, right? Like we don't know what teams are going to. Some teams aren't playing anybody. And some teams are like, yo, these cats are finna play. They finna play all damn game. They're playing a half. And while none of us, nobody watching, nobody listening, has any concern about Kansas City, I don't think we have any concerns about KC. They haven't looked good in the preseason. You know what I mean? And who cares? It's Patrick Mahomes, no Tyreek Hill. They really aren't working Kelsey. Like, why get him banged up? Clyde, I don't know if Clyde's going to play. I know he had sort of like an ankle injury. And from the Minnesota side, Mike Zimmer's comments indicate that it's unlikely that the top guys play, but some of the starters will play. Justin Jefferson, I haven't heard a report on Jets, man. Is Jets good? You haven't heard anything either? I don't know. I know,
man. I haven't heard a damn thing.
Yeah. It was a shoulder, so I'm not sure how Jets is doing. I hope Justin Jefferson is doing well and is going to be ready for week one. I don't see why he wouldn't with, 2.5 weeks left for game action. But the Chiefs, man, we were looking at Patrick Mahomes' props for passing yards. And we were just talking about it like, with those receivers, how the hell is he going to get, what is it, 50-50?
50-50. He needs to go for 50-50. But he did average 316 per game last year.
Yeah.
Which would have, I think, just put him there or just under it. So he's still very close.
But you're thinking
Very
like,
close.
who catches all the, like it's Tyreek's got, let's just say Tyreek's got his 1,500, Kelsey's got his 1,500. That's 3,000 yards.
Yeah.
There's still 2,000 more yards out there that need to happen.
Yeah.
Hardman, 800 yards. And that's bullish, right? That's a lot. I'm just saying, there's still 1,200 yards out there. So then Clyde, I mean, I don't know how.
Robinson, 500. Byron Pringle, another
and then Byron Pringle gets
Clyde,
4.
600.
Clyde gets 6. I guess that's how you do it. It's just, it's a
he
lot,
just makes
man.
It happen, man.
He just does it. Like, they know what they're doing. 5,050 yards in a half. So he's got to get 50-51 to hit that over total. And Eric in the chat said he believes. Kevin Bacon said paging Mecole Hardman. So yeah, we got to see some Hardman. I don't know if dude, I drafted Tyreek Hill yesterday, and then like I clicked a little thing and they're like, oh, he's limited with a hamstring, and I'm just like, Jesus, like when does he not have a hamstring injury? Like just don't do any, like stop running so fast, Cheetah. We need you. Good morning, D-Bro. Happy to have you, man. Make sure y'all are tapped into D-Bro's content, dude. He's been winning people a lot of money. Derek Brown at D-Bro on Twitter. But Green Bay Buffalo, we get Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky's going to start again in the NFL. Not in Buffalo, but I think his career is bridge quarterback. Think Andy Dalton. Think, those. I think Mitch is going to start again. If he continues to play well, rehabilitate his image, he'll sign a 1-year deal somewhere to be a bridge quarterback or a high-end backup. But I think he's going to start again in the NFL. He looked really good, and some players just need to change of scenery. So we get to see a little more Mitch Trubisky. The Packers, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they play nobody significant. We saw A.J. Dillon play a little bit last week. I don't think we see Rodgers or Aaron Jones. Devonta Adams already said he's not playing in the preseason. Probably no Robert Tonyan. So there goes Green Bay. Jordan Love, I think he has some decent moments. Yeah, he's the only guy. He had some decent moments. Amari Rodgers, I think the enthusiasm and hype and steam has sort of worn off with that one. I think he's got some time to develop. Kylian Hill, to see if Kylian Hill is going to seize. I think he's locked up that RB3 role. So running backs, extra game this season. We know the position is fragile. There's a chance, man. There's a chance Kylian Hill gets on the field and plays. But is there anything you really looking? I guess Singletary, Zach Moss a little bit from Buffalo. Singletary, Zach Moss.
Check the usage there because we may see some indications for regular season usage. But yeah, I think for me the biggest storyline is Jordan Love. Because he was out last week with, I believe, a shoulder injury. So he came back to practice this week. So I think he's expected to play. And so that's why I put that in the news for that part. But yeah, I think it's the RB usage. We'll see how Gabe Davis looks. I don't think Cole Beasley is necessarily going to be playing. But we may see some Manny Sanders out there. I don't think Stephon Diggs is playing because Allen's not playing. But yeah, kind of that for 1.5 first team offense for Buffalo. So we will see some starters out there, maybe even see some Dawson Knox and probably the starting offensive line. But the big takeaway will be, I think, the running back core and see what that usage looks like overall. Because I don't think it changes whether it's Mitch back there or it's Josh Allen back there. We'll probably get a good indication of how they'll be used overall for the season.
Yep. So there's the Green Bay game, Green Bay Buffalo, and we don't really care. I mean, the lines I can just give them to you. They got Buffalo -8, Kansas City -4.5. Jets -4, Carolina -4, and Indy -2.5. I have not bet any of the spreads. I've just been betting the over-under totals, and I'm really probably going to stay away week 3 because you just don't know who's playing. The final game, these are Saturday games, right? Green Bay Buffalo Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo
So
Saturday.
I believe Green Bay Buffalo is Saturday at 1 o'clock, 1 Eastern, and then this game, Baltimore and Washington, I believe is at 6 o'clock. Then everything else is 7 and beyond.
What's going on in Baltimore, man? I know Rashad. I like offensively. I know Lamar Jackson was dealing with COVID. He's back, right? Like Lamar Jackson is back practicing. Mark Andrews had a situation where he had to go to the hospital, cramps. He's back, right? I think Andrews is back. No Rashad Bateman still. Is Hollywood Brown practicing? Do you know if Hollywood is out there doing anything? I don't know what we've seen. First of all, I haven't been able to catch a Baltimore game. I know J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both played a little bit last week, and both of those guys apparently looked really good. I'm just wondering about the pass catching weapons for Baltimore, man. And what do we do? I mean, Sammy Watkins, man. Sammy's going to go out there week 1 and catch 8
Just
for
crush it.
150, 8 for 159 and 2, and then not do anything else the entire season. And he's so good, man. He was so, I don't know if y'all remember, like we talk about generational prospects and the best since Julio Jones. Sammy Watkins out of Clemson was up there as just so dominant at Clemson. And Clemson just rolls in wide receivers when you really think about what they produce at that position.
Yep.
So it's just crazy to see the slow decline from Buffalo. I don't even know where he went after Buffalo, but just the slow decline for Sammy Watkins. But, I mean, he's looking like he's probably going to be the top target for Baltimore starting out, and I don't know how I feel about that. Let me see if there's any Sammy Watkins props out there. Regular season receiving yards. Nope, they've got regular season receiving touchdowns. Over under 3.5 for Sammy Watkins.
Damn.
What do you think?
That seems light. That seems light. But, so to kind of give you an update on the situation, there was 6 receivers missing of the 12 from Tuesday's practice. This is like kind of one of the more recent reports I could find. Hollywood Brown, Miles Boykin, Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Deion Kane, and James Prochet. So that just left Devin Duvernay, Tylen Wallace, Benjamin Victor, Jalen Moore, Devin Gray, and Siosa Mariner. That guy I've never heard of. But so you're basically talking about realistically the top 4 guys with Brown, Boykin, Watkins, and Bateman. Depending on how you feel about Boykin overall, maybe you think Tylen Wallace, Devin Duvernay are going to take over his spot. But that's kind of like your top 4 guys. And then Harbaugh was saying as far as Brown's return, he's saying nothing definitive. It's never definitive. I'm not getting definitive updates either. So we'll see how it goes. Again, as a report from the 23rd, updated on the 24th. So there's not a whole lot to make right now of this situation. They're just kind of seeing what happens. And with so many guys out, we can't expect them to really have a plan as to what they're going to do because they're just missing too many guys right now. And then but there is reports though of Lamar saying he's not worried about the wide receivers missing time. He feels comfortable. He's ready to get rolling. At the end of the day, it comes through that passing game, but we do want to see these guys kind of get going in practice and get going ready for the games, obviously. D-Bro's going in about Josh Oliver's season.
Yes, he's not the only one, but my boy Ike said Watkins has scored 2 touchdowns week 1, and then all you need is 2 more for the remaining 16. Easy over. Like, do you even...
Exactly.
The fact that I'm, like, hesitant on that is, like, Watkins gets his 2 week 1, and then you're feeling good, right? You're like, shit, I got 16 games to get 2 more touchdowns.
They play your Vegas Raiders week 1. So there's going to be some opportunity for a few deep balls there. Like, definitely. And
if you think he's going to hit the over, the price is minus 110. Like...
Yeah, I mean,
if you think
you'll be still Sammy Watkins, in Kansas City, you'd be sweating that the whole season, all the way to
your ass is clenched for the entire season on that one because you just don't even feel confident that Watkins is going to give you 2 for 16. But exactly. Minus 110 price is really good. So Washington side of the ball. So we don't know who's playing for Baltimore. Is that where we left out?
Like,
we
Trace
don't know.
McSorley is also out for the rest of the preseason. So that even leaves them with
one
less quarterback. So I don't think Lamar's going to play, right? Because of everything going on.
Yeah, and they've got Baltimore favored minus 4. Now, Washington is interesting because they've been playing all their guys. Like Terry McLaurin was out there week 1, Antonio Gibson taking carries. They were out there week 2. The defense looks ready. I mean, Chase Young looks ready. As soon as he steps off the bus, he's ready to go. What do we see from Washington? Still no Curtis Samuel. I don't think he's going to play at all. He's always hurt as well. De'Ami Brown is going to be fun to watch. I think that's the player to keep your eye on because I think he's won the wide receiver 3 job. I don't know if that's confirmed yet or not, but he brings something different to the table than Adam Humphries. And you've got Logan Thomas to kind of work the middle, stretch the sidelines. So you need that downfield threat. I think this offense could be really good. The more that I think about the pieces on Washington, the more concerned I am about the NFC East and the Cowboys winning that division because Washington's got the best defense in the division, even though I do think Dallas's defense literally improved overnight with Micah Parsons. And Brian Baldinger did a breakdown of how Dallas is using Parsons. It's insane, dude. They've got him all over the field. It's crazy. I tweeted out 2 years ago, and the tweet is still up if you go mine for it. But I talked about Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith being like the best young linebacking duo in the NFL. And I think it was Jalen Smith's second season when he really started to turn a corner. And I tweeted out some plays, and I was like, this is going to be insane. Neither of those guys may end up starting. Like, they might both. With the Dallas has already declined Vander Esch's fifth-year option. They may be replaced by Keanu Neal, Micah Parsons, and a combination of Jabril Cox, which is just insane how quickly things turn around. But Washington's defense is loaded. I don't think they really need to play. I haven't heard a report on one way or the other, so I'm not sure what Washington's going to do. But honestly, there's nothing I really need to see. I would like to just see De'Ami Brown play.
Yeah, so to talk about Curtis Samuel, Rivera was saying that he's optimistic, and he says Curtis will continue to doing what he's doing. We're ramping him up gradually. So it sounds like he's kind of working his way back, doing some individual drills, but not quite fully there yet. And then Fitzpatrick was saying with Curtis, when he's ready to ramp up and go, he will be. But right now, for me, it's great work with whoever's out there, because it's going to happen. You're not going to get to go the whole year without having some injuries. So he's not concerned about it. Rivera doesn't seem concerned about it. He talked about Curtis Samuel, and I believe it was Kareem Jackson William Jackson, the cornerback that they signed out of Cincinnati. So they're not too concerned. But like you said, they're going to play all their guys. I think we'll see some more Gibson. We'll probably see some J.D. McKissick. Lots of Jaret Patterson.
Yep, Jaret Patterson.
I'm sure Jaret Patterson will be all over D-Bro's content this week over at FTN Daily for his DFS primer, where he just prints money out there. We gotta give D-Bro some love, man. He's every weekend he's just printed money for people, and he's getting those hits. And it's great to see for everyone who's oversubscribed there at FTN Daily for the NFL package. D-Bro's killing it. But I could see Jaret Patterson, again, another guy who will be out there a lot and highly owned because of how well he's been playing.
All right, well, you want to knock out, or not knock out, but let's this is the who have we done so far on the NFC West? We've done the Cardinals, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it. We need to jump into the Rams and maybe a little bit of Seahawks, man, to see how they're going to do, right? Let's do it, man. Let's beat the rush, baby.
Wake up.
This is Beat the Rush.
Get out of the way, jackass!
All right, so let's dive into the Los Angeles Rams team future. Let's see what we're going to do with Sean McVay, a.k.a. Matt Bruning stunt double. Rams reloaded. Last year, the Los Angeles Rams were 10-6. They've got plus 1,500 odd pricing for Super Bowl champs, plus 200 to win the division. Over-under wins for the Rams, 9.5. If you take the over, I don't like minus 149. If you take the under, you get a better price at plus 125. Where are you at with this reloaded Rams team? They shipped off Jared Goff, the man that they paid $100+ million to, that led him to a Super Bowl. They said, we've seen enough of Jared Wolf. They got him out of there. They bring in, I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say future Hall of Fame. I'm not going to say that. They bring in, I almost got a little ahead of myself. They bring in Matt Stafford. They draft Tutu Atwell. They bring over Deshaun Jackson. We know what happened with Cam Akers. And now Darrell Henderson's thumb hurts, and they trade for Sony Michel. So where are you at with the Los Angeles Rams? Their win total, odds for winning the division. Do you think they hit that 10 wins this season? And do you feel comfortable with that price of $149, minus 149 for the Rams?
I'm fine with the 149. I actually do think that they're going to hit the over on that. And yeah, Stone's talking about this big report that ESPN put out yesterday with a bunch of stories talking about basically how this all came about. And one of the things that I was listening to, because they talked about it on the ESPN Daily Pod with Pablo Torre, was how Stafford was in Cabo, I believe, and Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle, was there with Sean McVay, talking about and they just it just came together basically that way, is that Whitworth texted McVay, and then they met at the pool, and it's just crazy how this all came together to bring Stafford to LA. But I do like that 10-win number. But this over, and we talked about it already, it just sounds like these overs I'm seeing for these quarterback numbers just sound insanely high. And I get it's an over under. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be somewhere in the middle, as far as the outcomes go. But 4,600 yards. I know that Stafford is a gunslinger, but if you were to walk into the season with Cam Akers healthy and, Darrell Henderson, I would say there's no way in hell he's going to get 4,600 yards. But now, knowing that Darrell Henderson is a little bit hurt, they got the plotter, Sony Michel, why I think he will be fine for fantasy and for the Rams. I think that this is going to open up everything for Matthew Stafford. We know that he can throw the ball as much as you want him to throw the ball. He will throw for 400 yards a game. He will throw over 500 yards a game. He will hang out with Clayton Kershaw to make sure his shoulder is looking good all season long. But it still sounds like a lot. I'm loving the touchdown number, though. 27.5. Give me that. Cash money. 4,600?
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot. First of all, Stone is going off in the chat. Stafford wants big games. He's going to get them. Better step up, big man. Stone's got some energy in the chat, man. But when I first saw this, I was like, damn, that's high. And then you look at what Jared Goff did with Sean McVay. 2018, 46-88, 32 touchdowns. 2019, 46-38, 22 touchdowns. And then last year in 2020, a down season for Goff. Lowest passing yards total since his second season, 39-52, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Completion percentage was always above 62%. If you think that Matt Stafford is a better quarterback, which I think we all agree that he is a better quarterback than Jared Goff, he takes shots down the field. He's just better all the way around. Matt Stafford is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. In this offense, with the lack of a dynamic rushing attack, let's just say that, Sony Michel, Henderson, Funk, Jones, that does not elicit a ton of confidence. I'm fine with the over. Like, that seems, and if we let's see, what is it, minus 111? Yeah, man, I'm in on that. Like, I think Stafford can go for with Robert Woods, with Cooper Kupp, with the few games that you'll get out of Deshaun Jackson. They still have a good tight end in Tyler Higbee. They drafted Tutu Atwell. I think Matt Stafford can go for 5,000 this season. I know that, we talk about Patrick Mahomes going for 5K and how he's going to get there. Mahomes the better core. I'm not debating that. But when you're just looking at the pass catchers, they have more offensively, maybe not high end. Kupp and Woods are not Tyreek Hill. Tyler Higbee is definitely not Travis Kelce. But they have enough weapons around in a division that may score a decent amount of points that I do think that 4,600 yards is more than obtainable for Matthew Stafford. So I like the over on Matthew Stafford, and I'm very bullish on him in seasonal leagues. I mean, I'm seasonal super flex leagues. I think he's a value where you can get him. I just drafted him in a league with FTN. I took him as my first quarterback in round 3 after going RBRB because I know you can get a Ram stack a little bit later. Like, if you take Patrick Mahomes early, like, to get Tyreek Hill to stack that is probably impossible. Like, it's just hard to get those without reaching. With Matt Stafford, you can get Deshaun Jackson super late. You can get Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp or Tyler Higbee to kind of stack that roster with that position. And I do think he's going to go for over 4,600 yards. I do think he's going to go for over 27 touchdowns at minus 111 price. So I like both of these numbers for Matt Stafford. Let's take a look at the pass catchers, though. So Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. If I believe that Matt Stafford is going for 46, even 4,600, there's no way in hell Robert Woods is 995, and no way in hell Cooper Kupp is only 1,000 yards. Like, it's over on both of these. Now, if you don't think Stafford is going to throw for 4,600 yards or approach 5,000 yards, then maybe these lines for the receivers will give you a little bit of pause, right? But I think this is, like, criminally low for both of these guys. What do you think?
Well, it's crazy because you talk about the down year for Goff, and Woods still put up 936. So he was only 60 yards short of that number in when Goff is throwing the ball 700 less yards. Cup, I think, is more of a health bet. He's a little bit higher, and so with him, it's he not that he say he's injury prone, but he's missed a couple of games here or there is where it probably falls off for him as far as hitting this total. But I think 1,000 yards is very doable for Cooper Kupp. He's not a player that is shy of getting. He's another yak guy. Went for 974 last year, so again, very close to that number in a down year for Goff. If we expect Matt Stafford to even throw for 4,500 yards, more than acceptable to expect 2,000 yards combined from his top two wide receivers. I'm smashing both these numbers. The touchdowns are interesting. I think I'm more intrigued to take the touchdown number for Kupp because we know that he's a little bit stronger in the red zone. But I don't mind that 6.5 for Woods. It's just he's only hit it once his entire career, and it was in 2019. That's why I think the number's a little bit high for Woods for touchdowns. But otherwise, big fan of the numbers from both sides. I take the overs on the yards.
But my thing is, if for me and the way that I view this team, I do think Stafford goes over 4,600 yards, and I do think he goes for over 27 touchdowns. Just a byproduct of that, I've got to be bullish on the pass catchers. And I saw Stone say Van Jefferson. Maybe.
Nah.
I mean, maybe, right? I'm just saying it, maybe, but no, probably not. Deshaun Jackson is going to start. I believe he's going to. Let me not speak in absolutes. I believe Deshaun Jackson will start in the slot. I gave Tutu Atwell all this praise about getting blasted in one of those preseason games and getting up, and then I look on the practice report and he's hurt. I'm just like, damn it, Tutu. But I like these numbers for the Rams offense. I'm going over Stafford, over Woods and Kupp, and I don't think there is there any lines out? Did Henderson's line move at all? Do we know if Henderson's line moved at all, and if Sony has anything up? Let's see what Hendo is doing. Let's see. Darrell Henderson right now. Nope. They just have what I'm seeing is most rushing yards they pulled him, right? They pulled him. Let's see what Sony. Does Sony
I didn't
have
find anything
anything?
for Sony.
Nah.
Same thing.
Nothing
to see here for these guys, and that's the
Nothing to
problem.
see here.
The bookmakers, they're not stupid. They need to wait till these things play out a little bit. But we may just not even see season-long lines for either of these guys now, because why would they put them up late? Yeah, we'll see. They may want a little bit of action, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. But we do have another line, don't we? That we pulled for today.
Yeah, we do. And these projections, I mean, these are some of the best projections I've ever seen. These are Jay Rich projections, and how he came to this number, I do not know. But Aaron Donald, just
look at him,
just a beast.
Come
man.
on, Ray.
Just a beast. Yeah, listen, I'm
Talk
gonna work
about
out
him a little bit.
I'm going to work out after this because I want to look like that guy. I want to look like that guy. He's just a good-looking guy, man. He's buff. He's good at football. His over/under season sack total for Aaron Donald is 12.5. Remember, Aaron Donald plays interior, D-line, D-end, wherever he wants. Aaron Donald plays wherever he wants on the defensive line. But 12.5 sacks for Aaron Donald with an additional game. I like it, man. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I like this number for Aaron Donald. And when you look at what Aaron Donald has done just over his career, it's just for a player who doesn't fit the mold of what most people think about a traditional defensive tackle. I remember the days where Courtney Brown, just 6'4", 6'5", Big John Henderson out of Tennessee that played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think John Henderson was like 6'7", 350 at interior defensive tackle. And then Aaron Donald comes out of Pitt, 6 foot 280, 6'1", 285, and is just tearing people up. Last season, 13.5 sacks. The season before that, 12.5. And then we know in 2018, 20.5. I think he went back-to-back NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2018. And maybe I'm wrong about 2019, but I know he's Defensive Player of the Year in 2018. 12.5 seems like they're expecting a little decline from the Incredible Hulk, man. I mean, they're like a little down here for Aaron Donald, huh?
Yeah, so, I ran the numbers. I put in the Rams' total projections. I did the regression analysis. I did the power index. I did everything he needed to do to come to this number. It can't spit out about 13.85, but I was like, you know what? Aaron Donald's a beast. We're going to round it up. So in 17 games, like you mentioned, he put up 12.5, he put up 13.5. He can hit this number. It's a very realistic number. The Rams are going to be going after the quarterback a ton this year. We know how great that defense is, and I think it even got a little bit better this offseason. I think they're going to have another year to kind of bring it all together. I think Matt Stafford will help to rally the troops. But Aaron Donald, he's the guy. He's the guy that we want to see. 12.5, I think, is a more than beatable number, and I think it's something he's going to hit this year. So if I was making a bet after running all the numbers, I think Aaron Donald is going to be a good bet at 12.5 sacks, and I do like it in that extra 17th game. Although, to be fair, he may not even play that game. They may have a great season. He may not play, but I am expecting him to play. He's played every single game the past 3 years. So if that means anything, right? And then we know how tough that division is. It should be pretty tight. They'll probably need all 17 games this year, but you never know. Maybe Matt Stafford is that good and he takes them all the way to like a 13-4 season. Who knows?
Yeah, this division, I just think this division overall is it the most competitive division in football? I think the NFC West.
What I would say is that as far as looking at the lines for almost all the teams so far, they are almost identical. Like we didn't get to the Seahawks today, but even their win total is only 9.5. The Arizona Cardinals, I believe, was still 8.5. So they had the same line as the Rams, but just worse odds. And then the Seahawks are 9.5. And then we haven't looked at the Niners yet, but I imagine they're, same thing. They're around that 8.5, 9.5. So even the bookmakers don't even know what to do with these teams. So if they don't know what to do with these teams, why the hell would we know what to do with these teams, right? Yeah. So that to me, again, yeah. So the Niners are 9.5 in most books. They're 10.5 in some books. So the Seahawks, same thing. They're about 10, 10.5. Niners, 9.5, 10.5.
Damn, the Hawks are 10.5?
Yeah, they have some really good odds this year. I'm surprised that they are that high, but they were 12-4 last year, which I think we forget. The Rams were 10-6, but the Hawks were 12-4. So it's tricky, man. But this division is tough. Trey Lance coming in, if he's a starter, he's gonna be damn good, man. And so it's just like it's hard to say. And then they're getting like their entire defensive line back too.
So remind who's in Seattle?
No. This is San Fran.
You're talking about
San Fran was getting their defensive line back.
Remind me with the playoffs. The playoffs are permanently expanded, right? So there's 7 teams that make it.
17
there's 7 teams. Yeah. So you get your 4 divisional winners and then 3 wild card teams.
3 wild cards. And the crazy thing about this year, there won't be a wild card team from the NFC South. Pretty much guaranteed. There's probably not a wild card team coming out of the
NFC East. Wow.
But then the NFC North, you think about Minnesota, can they get to that 9-10 win mark? Then you have Chicago, can they get to that 9-10 win mark? We assume the Packers are going to win the division, right? Probably with 11, 12 wins, but we very well could see 3 teams out of the it's very unlikely, obviously, but you never know. If you see all these teams with 9 wins, 10 wins, tie breaks on some of these other teams in the NFC North, NFC East, NFC South, you never know. It's still possible. It's still possible.
Well, Stone says and I'm with him. He said Packers the only ones out of the North.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Packers and Minnesota, right? It's Packers.
Yeah, those are the top 2.
Those are the top 2. But I think you're right. I think you get one out of the NFC South, which is going to be Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the division out of the NFC East, that's going to be the only team. If the NFC North, they have to have 2 because you can't take all 4 out of the.
I think they're the only. They have to have 2. Right?
They have to have 2 because you can't go 4 teams out of the NFC West to make that 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. You can't. I don't think you can.
If they're because you could just remember the 3 other divisions and then the entire NFC West. So they could all make it, but it's just the chances are so slim, right? They're playing each other 6 games. But the Bears could be fine, but I don't know if they make the playoffs. They got to win, 9-10 games probably to make the playoffs. That's the real issue.
We got a comment here. The blatant Bears slander. We ain't slandering the Bears, Zach. We ain't slandering the Bears, man. He said, and Adam said you could, but it'd be wild to get 4 teams from the same division. And honestly, it's not because Arizona's not gonna damn make it.
Arizona's not gonna.
Arizona, I don't think Cliff King's
they're the ones who aren't gonna make it. They're gonna screw it up. But that leaves room for probably the Vikings or the Bears as far as we're concerned.
Well, we appreciate y'all tapping in. The comments are getting better and better. We love to engage with y'all. So make sure you stay tapped in. Please, please, please subscribe to the Wake Up with Ray G podcast. We got to get that going. Y'all can listen to us if you miss us on air live Monday through Friday. We'll be here tomorrow, I think. Now, we'll be back tomorrow just to have some fun. I may show off something real cool on camera, so make sure you're tapped in. We're going to start the giveaway for this Michigan helmet real soon because I got to get this up out of here. But y'all
Subscribe.
stay tapped in. Stay tapped in, subscribe, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.